Hello, all of you wonderful beings out there, and welcome to the stream. I am Raw Zim, and this is DevTales, where we're going to be working on our SCAR system, or Stories and Creatures in Alternate Realities. This system is available for open playtest on our Discord as well as on itch.io. So go take a look at it and let us know what you think. And in the upper right there, we have Plastic Duck Simulator because ducks. Enough said. So we haven't done our monthly update just yet because we wanted to have another dev session.
Yep.
Um,
For some fairly obvious reasons.
I'm not certain what obvious reasons there are.
So there was the, in the late inclusion of things like shields that we needed to discuss, because it's a mix of weapons and armor, and it was supposed to be included, but, we weren't able to squeeze in a, dev session related to it at all before the update.
Fair enough.
And so there's that kind of stuff in relation to it.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. But we can always get started a little bit on some of the other stuff, like the discussion point stuff. Get some of them out of the way.
Sounds good. Just updating the DevTale note stock. Alright, so one of the first things that I do want to bring up is, oh yeah, I put it in the discussion. The extra limb expertise or something along those lines. As I put in there, a feat for being able to attack as part of an attack action with an additional limb, such as a tail attack, or being able to kick them, or something along those lines. Basically, it would... Oh, hey, Briharu.
Hello.
Basically, it would be a extra attack on top of whatever they would normally use with their attack action. Is the general gist of what I've got in mind on that. Because I know in the case of Squirrel, he's got his tail weapon that I know I would like to let him use. This also allows us to handle things like, you know, Machoke that has, or was it Machamp? Either way, you know, that line that has 4 arms, you know. Be able to have a way for them to actually have those extra things, but be generic enough for others to be able to pick it up as well.
Okay, so to start off with that, a couple of important design questions. First of all, if in your mind when they use this, is this an additional separate attack?
That is what I am thinking. It will be an additional separate attack. I'm thinking it'll probably be a small tree. Like, you pick up the first one and it allows you to use it with a quick action. You'll still need to have a move that is dedicated to that part or weapon or whatnot. But it would be limited to a quick action, then you could upgrade it for a standard action type, the equivalent of one. However, we would not allow full action or full attacks with those.
Alright, so first of all, I kind of have some action economy concerns in relation to this. Because if it ends up being even with even just with the first level where it's a quick action attack that you're able to use for free if you use an attack, that means that people that pick this up will on their turn have 2 standard actions, a quick action, and another quick action attack that they use as a free action so long as they attack somehow else. I don't know how I feel about it being literally free once a turn so long as you attack.
Alright, what are your thoughts on it, Era?
I can see it as a quick action, but I'm not sure about free. Is it going to be following the normal multi-attack penalty rules, by the way?
I was thinking that it would have that -5, yeah.
Okay, also, real quick. When you say normal multi-attack penalty, multi-attack is a specific action. There is no accuracy penalty for doing 2 separate attacks in the same turn if one is like a standard action and another one's a quick action. There is no associated penalty with that.
I thought there was.
No, it's with the multi-attack action. I wrote that a couple of times in the weapon things. It's specifically related to the multi-attack action.
Yeah, he is correct. You can do... On your turn, you can do one attack with a standard action and another attack with a quick action with no penalty.
Okay.
Good to know. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, but if if you take the multi-attack action, which actually greatly opens up the amount of attacks you can do, that's where the -5 or -3 in case of light fury comes into play.
Well, my question is still valid, because if it's quoted as for free, do multi-attack penalties stack with that? Or no?
Well, if it's free, what would happen is it's counted as its own separate action, so it would also be made at the full roll, but with how it's being proposed right now, it's as a part of an attack action.
So, real quick, one pause here. Raharu, go ahead and add to the dev notes for me to add a rules box clarifying that you can use both a standard action and quick action without penalty. As for my suggestion here, it is primarily a situation where you cannot normally combine both Fury and a standard action attack. Like in the case of Squirrel, he uses 2 light weapons, and then his tail axe is a medium weapon. He cannot use all 3 together. So this was kind of something that it's like, hey, like, yeah, this is personally motivated. I will fully admit that. But it's also something that I wanted to propose for somebody else that might want to do something similar.
Well, we do have a mechanic that would let you do that it's amped. Get 1 stack of amped and you can use a Fury attack, and then at the end of it use the amped stack in order to use your standard action tail axe.
Well, that would require using a move because we don't have means of adding amp to yourself with a weapon. Which we should probably figure that sort of stuff out as well. How we want that.
Yeah,
to
that
work.
was gonna be in the magic section.
Yeah.
And I was specifically not focusing on the magic section this month for the reasons of first of all, it'd be way too much, and second of all, I would not have time to properly math and balance for it. So
Yeah, that's fine. It was
this
just,
month I was gonna be working on that.
It was a side thing that was like, right, we should probably do that, but
Yeah.
Anyways.
But yeah, so technically speaking, the currently available thing for that is amped. As for it, I think it wouldn't, compared to other things, this would still be strong, but I don't know about the balance of this because I haven't mathed this out and I haven't tested this, so I don't know about the balance of doing this, but it could be a thing where like the action cost gets reduced from standard to quick. That way it's not free, like free, but a reduced action cost is still pretty nice. I don't know about allowing that as, like, just a permanent passive. I mean, I'd be amenable to it, but, like, on the face of it, I don't know how balanced that would be. Because a medium weapon is... It'd be... I mean, I guess... It'd be about the same thing as letting a move user do a standard action move as a quick action, so long as it's an offensive action as a part of another attack. Which, slightly restrictive, but also action economy. On the other hand, we are buffing defenses overall, and including more defensive options, so I guess offensive stuff getting more powerful isn't that problematic right now. What are you thinking, Era?
I'm considering different options because in my brain, one of the options is going, well, we could probably make strike a quick action in follow up or something like that. But isn't there already a feat for that?
We've been talking about making a feat for that like forever. I don't know if we've ever actually put it in.
I'm not. At higher levels, I don't think it would be as much of a thing. That's one of those things that when you reach a certain level, I think maybe it'd be a little bit more easy to balance. At low levels, I don't really... It'd be hard to get in. Because action economy is meant to restrict the player to a certain set of lines, and I just don't like the word free necessarily easily. I can see it both ways, but I'm not sure I like it too much, if that makes sense. Sorry, I'm a little brain dead. Today was a meeting hell day. I was in 12 meetings.
Also, I'm not sure if your computer is using the wrong mic or something, but
Here, let me check.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
I'm not talking to you.
Okay, Furry. Oh, it is not using the right mic.
Yeah, you're
It shows
sounding
against
very...
using the right mic.
There we go, that's much better.
If it were to be done, I think it should be like definitely restricted to a higher dot ratio. It may be treated as a strike, just like limit it to a basic strike maneuver or something.
Well, I mean, strike is definitely an option. But
I mean, it becomes a lot more useful if you have the strike take effect before the main attack.
True.
what I was thinking is just, you know, you have to take the attack action in the first place. But then it is an extra attack on top. But it would be at the -5 penalty to accuracy. And then you can purchase it multiple times for more limbs and such, but... or, you know, just whatever. Flurry of blows, whatever you want to call it in the end. Because we want it to be generic.
So,
I mean, if you want to... Never mind. That's not a good idea.
I mean, it might be a bad idea, but it might be something that jogs an idea for the rest of us.
Well, I was going to say, if you want to do something like that, do it just like the Fury of Blows does with the -/. And make 2 as a standard. In our purposes, I think that's a -3, -3.
well, -3 is for light, but
Yeah.
I mean, this doesn't really address like the particular thing, but having it step down the action cost of a standard to a quick for purposes of meld, that doesn't really like fix the thing, but that is like a side idea. Because I think what Zim wants to be able to do is Fury attack with 2 light weapons, and then after the Fury on the same turn attack with a medium weapon.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just not sure how to mechanically do that without...
Yeah, because I fully understand wanting to do that, because if you remember, that's also exactly what Vayne does, except he does action... he does turn economy stuff, so he can full attack with the enemy still having the hit stun on his next turn. But... So, like, I definitely get wanting to do that mechanic, because I myself have done that mechanic in a slightly different way.
Well, I will say for me, it's not driven by a hit stun. It's more driven by Berserker going all in kind of idea.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean when I'm saying mechanically.
Yeah, yeah.
As I said, I'm not against it. We need to figure out the balance point of it.
Yeah.
And how to work.
I'm good with it being something that is limited to a particular attribute, first off. You know, have it to be a prerequisite of, you know, maybe 15 attributes for the where you can use a quick action equivalent attack, and maybe attribute 20 for standard action equivalent.
Well, they wouldn't need the quick action. Unless you're still talking about it being free.
I'm still talking about like they pick up a feat for this, and it would be a small feature.
Well, yeah, but I mean for action, the action cost.
Oh, the action cost, yeah, free.
Because I think the free action cost is my personal sticking point.
Xeno. So Scar is it is a tabletop RPG system that we've been developing for over 2 years now. It is for playing as Pokemon, Digimon, Monsters from Monster Hunter, and much, much, much more. I know I've got ideas on how it could be very easily adapted for Avatar, The Last Airbender, not the blue alien thing. Tal wants to run a Star Wars campaign with it. It stands for Stories and Creatures in Alternate Realities.
But yeah, I think my main sticking point here is the idea of it being literally you get an extra standard quick and then standard attack free so long as you make another attack. I think that's my big hang up on it. Like making it so that way, for example, you could do a standard action attack as a quick action. That's strong, but like I feel like we could work with that, but just making it free. Any attack that has the action cost of free is a really big sticking point for me. Like I literally don't care if it's like base power, base accuracy of just like, you know, unupgraded strike without the strike benefits. Free anything is very strong because it is just free.
Well, I was kind of drawing inspiration for the idea from like Pathfinder and such, where you've got so many attacks that you could potentially do based on natural attacks, but I wanted to expand it a bit.
Well, you got to remember that when it comes to Pathfinder and their natural attack system, they're not without their negatives. So yeah, you can totally make a level 1 character that has bite, 2 claws, a tail, and 2 wing attacks, but it's at full base attack bonus -5, -5, -5, -5, -5 down the line, depending on their second or tertiary listings. So they come with severe penalties.
It's like I'm fine with playing with the action economy cost of things, but free. I just want to stay away from free where we can, because anything that gets included with free, first of all, sets a precedent that we are including, like, you know, a ton of, like, we're including that classification of action with the idea that there can be a free version. So for certain ones, like, I'm more amenable to it, but anything that is like an attack action or anything like that with free, because not only, like, even if that attack itself is not the strongest thing in the world, and with this it's going to be a standard action, so it will actually be fairly strong if a bit inaccurate. even just making an attack still piles on hit stun so long as you're successful with it, and more times than not, you're going to at least roll some accuracy successes.
Alright. I guess we can just go ahead and nix that idea then.
I mean, again, like I said, I'm fine making it so that way you could do a standard action attack as a quick action. Like, because I think that keeps the balance in the action economy like pretty intact.
Well, I guess that would actually work. I forgot that we changed multi-attack to 2 standard actions instead of...
Oh, yeah. Well, technically speaking, we kept multi-attack at 2 standard, like, since, like, forever ago. Because we played around with changing it, and then we realized, hey, wait, we want people to still have a quick action.
Yep.
E.
But yeah, so that's why I was like, we could, in order to make this work, we could have it step down the action cost by 1, because this would still let it do what you're wanting it to do without making it free and breaking action economy rules.
Alright, we can make that a feat then.
Yep. I don't know if you want to. I don't know if you want to. We could see what it's like right now, and then change it later if needed. Because I'll do some testing, and I'll see, like, one thing we could do is, like, difficulty numbers, but
Do we possibly want to restrict it to 1 action that's named at the time of taking the feat?
Maybe, but then again, it's also like we kind of want people to have like flexible abilities here.
True. Random question, sorry.
Alright, so basically the gist of this is... they will be able to, when taking the multi-attack action, maneuver action, they can downgrade 1 standard action to a quick action. I'm guessing it would be subject to the -5 dot penalty still, but they would allow them to use it as part of a Fury. So it'll probably basically be a Fury upgrade, rather.
I mean, probably it'd be useful either way because it's still lowering your action cost, but if you want to tie it to Fury, like, I wouldn't be opposed.
Because, like, when you're using Fury, you can only use things with Fury. And Fury is limited to things that are quick actions.
Yeah. Well, you can only use things that are labeled Fury as a part of that Fury attack. You could still use a standard, a separate quick action attack.
Well, yes, but I'm saying that Fury can only be on quick action attacks.
Yeah.
For now, just honestly, I would just leave it as the feat that allows you to use a standard action with as a quick action as part of an attack or what have you. However that you want to word that.
Okay. In that case,
We can see how that rolls, and then depending on how it feels to people, go from there.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make notes of that, Raharu.
Say it again. Hello?
A feat for brain just decided to die on me.
A feat that allows you to use a standard action attack as a quick action as a follow-up to an attack. Also, be right back really quickly.
Got it.
Thank you. Alright, so that is that taken care of. Do we have any other ideas about changing special to ethereal or something else on that yet?
I mean, I'd still prefer if we kept the abbreviation. But I mean, we can change things around. I'm just also like pretty ambivalent to like the whole changing it, but
well, I'm not really beholden to keeping the abbreviation the same.
fair. That's just more on like my part.
One second.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
Zim's taking a second for something.
Yeah. I should have grabbed my meds while I was up. I'll take them later, though. I need caffeination.
That's fair.
Alright, sorry about that. So I'd asked if there were any other ideas about what we could change special to.
I've had nothing as of recent.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I tried thinking about some like alternate things as well, like calling it like manifested or something, but that also feels weird in relation to talking about it like defensively, like referring to it as like manifested evasion is weird, or manifested integrity.
We can come back to it another time. The other thing that kind of came up, when it comes to things like protect, which actually I think that's the only one that really is a...
Insulated and guarded.
Well, insulated and... Gotta remind myself, insulated I know
That'll
is
matter
status.
because we're putting in the accessories that are going to be acting as separate layers for those
Fair
this
enough.
month.
Do we want to let the player decide if they're protected, like when they're protected stacked or otherwise procs?
I'd say yes, but they have to declare it when they put it on, and anything that happens before it reaches that quote-unquote layer happens as normal. So, like, let's say they put it at someone's, like, actual health, then it would go through, like, like armor, natural defense, and only the part that would go through to the health gets blocked.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah. Is that that was what kind of came to mind as, like, during that fight with the assassin that was going after Kaza, it's like, well, technically Squirrel got hit, but his armor absorbed all of it. So he himself did not take any damage. So I wanted to kind of put it out there like, hey, do we want to allow that? And yeah, I think I like the idea of having it declared. So the person putting it on can decide, yeah, this is protecting them personally, or this is protecting their armor, whatever. I like that idea.
It's the most balanced, but still letting people have a choice way of doing it.
Your thoughts there, Era?
I'm fine with it.
All right. Go ahead and put on the notes there, Raharu. Players can choose when applying it what layer protected actually functions for.
Got it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Alright, so that is it for the discussion points. So, the floor is yours then, Tal.
All right. Well, first of all, just to make sure, have all the people here read the little thing I put in ScarDev for my idea behind a way that shields could work. I do have other separate ideas that I came up with, but there were reasons that I didn't put that as like my primary choice. But for the one that I actually already put there, has that been read by everyone here?
Yes. I clicked the right thing? I think I clicked the right thing.
I did read it,
Alright.
but what's up?
I gotta hop off for now. I'll see everyone later.
Alright,
Alright,
see
bye.
you. Thanks for hanging
See
out.
ya. Yeah, no
There, Rocco.
problem.
I'm just gonna reread it real quick to refresh.
Yep, that's fair.
Yep, so am I right now. Okay.
So, I guess a good place to start with this is why I wanted to try and make it work like this instead of other simpler options, which is mostly just the fact that numbers and all of that mean that if we want to make it so that way shields work as effectively a different other layer of armor, we would need to massively reduce the actual stats on armor and transfer them over to shields in order to have them work. But I also kind of really don't want to make armor kind of useless if you aren't wearing a shield, but I wanted shields to try and do something.
I definitely agree on that. I want shields to be their own thing that is, just like you were doing, a mix between armor and weapons. I'm not so certain about about them being the same tier. I'm kind of thinking that they might be treated as a tier lower than an equivalent weapon.
Yeah. When I say that they are the same tier, I'm saying that if you are shield bashing with a shield, it counts as having the minimum power for a weapon of that specific classification and tier. So, for example, like a tier 3 heavy shield would be considered having power 6 because that's the minimum power to it. But I am also fine if we just make it work like a weapon but down tier it. The other reason that I didn't want to do that originally is because if we do that, that's going to be another EXP sink.
Well, I mean, even having it at the, it's one of those things like, it is giving you both it is giving you basically more health,
Yep.
and it's also a weapon.
Yeah.
So I figured that it should be a lower tier weapon because, you know, it's doing two things. It shouldn't do them both just as good as something meant for offense.
So when I say that they count as having the minimum power for a weapon of the classification and tier, when I say that, I mean that's what its offensive, like, power stat is.
The maximum it can ever be.
Oh.
It has the minimum power of a weapon of that tier, as in, like, that's its power level.
And that's all it'll ever be.
Unless, you know, specifically otherwise mandated by a storyteller.
Can we just get an asterisk on screen that says that? Just,
But, you know.
just blinking in the corner always.
But that's what when I say that, that's what I'm talking about, where it increases your health. You can use it as a weapon, and it would still be, it would still have, like, you would get something out of it, because it is still going to be adding power, so it might be more worth doing that instead of a strike at some point or something. But it isn't as good at just dealing raw damage as a actual full-on weapon is. If that makes sense.
I'm not super... Well, first off, Guru, the way our armor works in this system is it's not so much that it makes you harder to hit, unlike other systems. It's more that armor gives you a separate health pool, and it can break, yes.
Yeah. Imagine, like, you know how in some games there's, like, you know, energy shield or just, like, you know, a shield or armor stat? It works like that, where it just layers over your health. And it is possible for things to penetrate that and just deal damage to the wearer. Or over-penetrate the armor and deal damage to the wearer anyway.
Yeah, our armor has durability.
Well, we're not talking about just condition damage. So armor has a negation stat. So when damage comes in, that damage is immediately reduced by the armor's negation. Whatever the negation is for that particular type of damage. And then it has soak, which is how much of the remaining damage the armor is absorbing into its durability. And then anything left over after the soak goes to the wearer. It's a little complicated, but I feel that it's more realistic to armor. Like, it does have some deflection and such, depending on the specific type of armor, and it does help reduce damage, but it's not just a, you get swung at and, oh, it missed.
Garu, the answer is only if the armor take or no damage passes through. If even one damage passes the negation and soak, then you take chip damage.
Yes.
Also, the armor will also still take chip damage as normal.
Yes.
By normal rules. So it's called negation, but we call it that because otherwise people would try and combine the armor and their own personal defensive stats, and this makes it clear that it's a separate stat.
Yeah, nothing blocks chip damage. Because we want to make sure that if you manage to hit and deal damage, you're at least doing some damage.
Yeah. We've played a couple of times with the idea of removing chip damage, and then we kind of figured out every single time we played with it that it horribly unbalances things, so we've stopped trying to do that.
Well, that and it's just a real big feels bad moment.
Well, yeah, but when I say that we've tried getting rid of it, like, through specific means multiple times, I do mean we've done that multiple times at this point. And every single time we're like, hey, this was a mistake, let's not do that.
Welcome to Dev.
Yep.
We kept trying to make it work. We've stopped trying to make it work. It's just a bad idea.
And as far as your question, Vari, I would hold off on those thoughts until after we figure out baseline how shields work. I imagine we're going to create ways for shields to become more viable as a weapon or as a shield and sacrifice the other at some point.
Yeah.
After we figure out core mechanics.
Yep. Especially because the way that I tried to design shields is that they benefit you when you actively do something with them. So, in order just to explain things, light shields are considered to have the Deflecting 2 trait, which the user gains +2 to evasion scores when using the dodge action. Medium shields have Deflecting 1 and Fortifying 1. Deflecting 1 working the same way as before, but just with +1. And Fortifying gives you +2 integrity scores when using Brace. And heavy shields have Fortifying 2. This is basically in order to, in my opinion, make it so that way shields aren't something that you just throw on your character when you have a free, hand slot open, and just in order to, increase your defenses. I feel like shields should reward you for actually doing something.
Shields
if you
require
want
a lot more activity than you think they do.
They do. Also, personal experience on that. But also because if you want passive stat changes, that is what boon items are for. I don't think that shields should step onto the area of boon items by just giving passive stats.
Unless they are themselves a boon item.
But at that point they're a boon item, so it doesn't count.
Yeah.
But I went ahead and I wanted to put the deflecting and fortifying traits on there specifically because for the For the trait list, those are some of the armor traits that are available, which means you can upgrade them with armor traits, but they are limited to +3 at max, no matter what. The reason being that +3 is the equivalent of having a, again, mastered specialty. Basically, whenever I made something like this with the traits, I limited it to +3 because that's the equivalent of a mastered specialty. And that's my reasoning behind it. But so you can already, with rules, with how this works, upgrade your shield's ability to do what it does. So, for example, you could upgrade a heavy shield to fortifying 3 pretty easily, pretty quickly. A medium shield, you effectively, this is, with how it's designed, you're just making a choice on how much health you want your shield to have versus how bulky you're willing to make it in order to tote it around, and what bonus you want it to give at the beginning before investment. Because technically speaking, by the end of things, or even midway, you could probably, with some negatives, have shields that give +3 to both. But in order to get that, you probably have to get at least some negative traits for that usually. So, I'm kind of rambling here about it, so I'm going to stop rambling.
I'm currently just kind of going through and thinking about this. So what kind of durability are you thinking per tier right now?
So that's in the item/material math thing that's linked on the bottom. There are separate things for it being magic or average, which is mundane, but I didn't want to put mundane and magic next to each other because it's harder to read. So if you just look at what the averages are, basically what it is take the material stat for light, times everything by 2. It's considered times it by 2, for medium times it by 3, for heavy times it by 4. And that is just a flat rate that I just sort of came up with in order to make this easier to work with. Shields, in my opinion, the counterplay to them should either be 1, finding a way to get around them, or 2, finding a way to sunder and break the shield so that way it is no longer in your way.
Sorry, just kind of looking and processing here.
Yep. Magic, I stepped up the durability a lot, and then the negations just went up slightly.
I've got a follow-up question, Tal. Where in the stack would shields go for taking damage then? At the top, I assume?
It's at the top. It's on the armor layer. Okay. And which is also why I said that I didn't want them to just put another layer of durability, and I didn't want them to just stack with armor. So that's why I had it be that if you are utilizing the deflecting or fortifying trait with your shield, actually using your shield,
Yep, you just take a
If you're
durability
hit, it loses durability.
Yep, that's what I was just making sure. So it loses durability before your armor does. And then so
Yeah,
on and
but
so
it
forth.
doesn't take anything away from the hit.
No, I didn't think so. I just wanted to know when it exactly took its damage in the stack specifically, because that is actually important, because I'm an I used to be an MTG player. Stacks are important.
Which is why I also just didn't want it to be like an extra thing, because then otherwise, like, the stack starts getting hellacious. I don't need to be going through 4 layers of stack every time I want to deal damage, you know?
Are we factoring in ways to up its performance at all in the long run? Is that going to be something implemented?
Yeah, so the way that I'm at least doing it right now, and that it'll probably like stick with this and then like some other things with like feats and all that, is shields can purchase armor traits and some applicable weapon traits, but that's by ST approval.
Okay.
Basically, they count as armor. You could use them as a weapon. By base, they can pick up all armor traits. And, you know, if you want them to be capable of picking up some weapon traits, talk to your storyteller about it.
I would definitely like to make sure that we have the have some weapon traits that are by default good for a shield.
Yeah.
I just assumed there'd be a third list.
Yeah, I mean, I want there to be like some things, but I did not want to go through and pick out which ones are acceptable, only to have to do that again at the end of this month with all the magical ones.
That's
so basically, armor list full access, weapon list limited access. But yeah, so basically the way that shields end up playing out is, at least from my testing, they're useful to have. They buff up certain maneuvers you can do, and it also rewards you for actually investing in those maneuvers, which is probably the maneuver that you're wanting to invest in anyway, if you're using that classification of whatever. Because, you know, people that are using light armor and shields probably want to be dodging as much as possible, because they picked the type of armor that takes away from their evasion the least. People that are in heavy are probably wanting to be the tonk. So they're probably going to be bracing anyway, because you're trying to tank. But there's also literally nothing stopping you from grabbing that heavy shield and putting as many stacks of deflecting on it as you can. There's nothing stopping you. It's just, you know. Just depends where they start at. But yeah, basically, it's a little bit jank, like, wrapping your head around it at the beginning, but I think this is probably the healthiest way we could do shields.
Give me a moment. Sorry.
Also, Vari, you, technically speaking, those are things on the weapon list, but on the things that I'm going to allow for stuff on the weapons list that I already know, both the throw,
He's making a reference to one of my games where he figured out a way to quick draw throw a shield like ninja stars multiple times in a turn.
Oh,
Rules
nice.
legal.
One time I managed to figure out a way to shield back to like 12,000 damage.
Yeah.
My shield bash build was then immediately banned after a meme session of us just going around with 5 of my build just shield bashing everything.
Yeah, he kept a bunch of bucklers on his character to basically ninja star throw bucklers rapidly as a free action.
Oh, nice.
Machine gun style. And I was
It
just like,
definitely
okay.
isn't going to be a free action. But I will say those traits are going to be allowable on shields when I actually get around to making the allowed weapon list. I guess you could technically Fury attack, ranged throw bucklers in this system. Now, that is entirely possible. I won't comment on its efficacy because its efficacy is not really, but it is possible. You can do that.
There we go.
There's a trait called accessible on weapons, which the weapon can be drawn or sheathed as a free action once per turn. So it is technically possible to the machine gun Fury attack with shields.
I was about to say don't encourage Furry, but too late.
Oh yeah, no, I love doing shield bullshit. I'm just also letting him know that it is actually not going to be very good, but you can do it.
Alright, I am back.
Welcome back.
My biggest issue with this is... like, on the one hand, I do agree that you should actively do something with it in order to actively use it. But at the same time, it's relying on you using defensive maneuvers, which are, working against the action economy, and it doesn't feel like they are quite doing enough for that. Not to mention, it's also like, aside from using it as a weapon and some more durability, if you're actively using the shield as a defensive item, what's the point in getting an upgraded one if you're only using it for defense?
It'll last longer is one of the things.
Yeah, it's harder to sunder. It has a higher use amount if it's not sundered.
But that's it. It's not something that's...
great amount.
It'll have a higher XP cap for adding on things.
And it'll have a higher trait cap.
Where's the armor traits? Where did I open that?
Would they be following the experience caps of the armor, Tel?
Armor, we went with traits solely for armor because it's otherwise it is an extreme EXP sink, and what we'd have to do is make it so that way it starts with no stats and you'd have to buy all the stats. And I don't think we want to do that. We don't need an EXP sink that is just as big, if not bigger, than weapons.
All right, then follow-up question: would they follow the same traits as armor, or would they be slightly okay?
It has all access to all armor traits, and I'm going to basically make a list of approved weapon traits.
I meant how many trait points does a shield inherently get? The same as a tier of armor of its equivalent tier?
Yeah, it's the same as armor and weapons, because armor and weapons share the amount of traits they get per type per tier.
Okay.
There's no worry about jank with the trait things because the trait list, not trait list, the trait scaling is the same. I do get what you mean though, Zim, and that's also why I wasn't entirely happy with this. But the only other real thing that we could do is put some passive stats on it.
Yeah, I'm not fond of that either.
Which is why I'm like...
You're definitely, like... It's a complicated thing, because on the one hand, it's like... I don't want it to basically be a boon item. I don't want it to add on another stack of HP to get through. But at the same time, like, I'm looking through these armor traits, and it doesn't... Like, first off, are several of these that are definitely not really useful for a shield. Like, I don't think a shield would stop them from using special movement types.
It could in the case of things like flying.
It depends on their...
It depends, yeah, but...
It depends on the situation, though. I would probably argue personally that a shield would help with digging, but...
Well, yeah, but if you're digging with natural means and you have, like, a shield on your arm, that'll probably get in the way if you're not using it to dig.
Yeah.
Also depends on the type of a shield. I would never want to try and dig out with a buckler. A leather buckler.
Fair. But either way... There's a lot of this that doesn't feel like it would be particularly beneficial for making the shield feel... For making the shield feel like you are actively benefiting from it being a shield. From it being both a weapon and and an item for defense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, which is why the way that I put it is that I think this is probably the healthiest option. But I get what you're saying.
I do like the benefits for, you know, dodge and brace. I do like those. I just don't like the fact that, like, you know, you're doing sword and board, you're defending yourself in one direction, and I don't think it would really require an action to do so. But I also, like, the only thing that's coming to mind for me is, yes, you get, it's basically armor, but it only functions in one direction at a time, which you could choose as a free action. But that feels like a rather complicated thing to put in there.
I guess
for theater of the mind.
Yeah. I guess one thing that we could do is and I guess one thing we could do is give some, like, two of these types of shields a side ability that is really useful, and it makes it so that way someone fighting you wants to destroy your shield, so it doesn't just directly increase your durability, but effectively it encourages your opponent to split targets. like, the draw attention away from you for a little bit dealing with the shield. Which is, we could say that having a shield on of medium counts as you being in light cover. Maybe with some restriction on direction, but, light cover. And a heavy shield counting as you being in heavy cover.
I like that idea more.
And that could be on top of these stats. And it makes it feel like it's really doing something for you.
I like that
And
idea a lot.
It'll draw attention away from you to focus on the shield, because the Sunder attempt would not be made with the cover malice, because it is the cover.
Say that again, my brain decided to shut off.
Medium counts as light cover, heavy counts as heavy cover.
Okay.
But if you attack the shield directly with a Sunder, it doesn't count as having that cover modifier, because it is the cover. So it draws attention away from you and makes you harder to target. But it's
Okay.
also, it isn't directly increasing your defenses, it just makes it harder, it just draws attention away.
And so that would leave light with the brace fortify.
Yeah, well,
Only.
that would leave light with, you have strapped a buckler to your arm, and it is up to you to utilize this to defend yourself actively. Because there is still also counterplay that could be done using this system, which is, if you're going against a heavy shield user, you're going to want to have some bypass accuracy attack of some kind in order to go, okay, I see you have a shield, but that shield alone isn't going to block my attacks because I have a bypass accuracy thing.
Would we still require the brace and fortify maneuver to apply the light/heavy cover?
I am thinking...
I could go either way on that, but I'd lean no.
Okay.
Because part of it is, when you're using a shield, on the one hand, yes, it does require you moving around to actively use it, especially with lighter shields. Buckler is useless because it's just this tiny little disc strapped to your arm. Unless you're actively... unless you're actively using it, is what I was meaning. Or what I was about to say. But...
So...
you have a tower shield, that thing is just there.
Follow-up question then. When taking the feat for shield proficiency, are we doing it like armor where you have to take light, medium, heavy? Or are we going to treat it like weapons where you choose the magnitude that you want?
I was playing with a couple ideas, one of which is that having armor proficiency of that level would also grant you shield proficiency of that level.
I like the idea more of just one shield proficiency and you get access to all of them.
That's fair. That was going to be my other option if we don't go with the armor granting it, because otherwise it's going to be prohibitively expensive trying to get into shields and armor at the same time.
Yeah, and I don't really
It would be a pick one.
Yeah, and I don't really want to, push people in... I don't want them to have to pick up armor proficiency just to get access to the shield that they want. Because, there's, like, Vikings, for example. A lot of them, okay, not all of them, but, various cultures did not use much in the way of actual armor, but they still wielded shields.
Most Vikings wore chain armor, my dude.
Yeah, I said that at first, but then I stopped myself and was like, right, no, they were good. But there are still examples of cultures that did not really utilize much armor, if any, and just use shields.
Zim caught himself. I was thinking the same thing. But then Zim caught himself. I was like, okay, good. I don't want to be too pedantic, but...
But yeah, I think this would give people a reason to pick up shields, and they have a use passively, and they get a lot more if you're actively using them. They don't directly increase your health or integrities or negation or durability or anything, but they do benefit you defensively. Now, obviously, people are going to try and do some funny evasion maxing with heavy shield strategies. But then again, also, like always, dodge tanks get countered the moment that they run into someone that has bypass accuracy.
But dodge roll, dodge roll, dodge roll, dodge roll, swing, dodge roll.
Also, Tao, can I ask why there is this giant column of description on the weapon and armor traits that is just empty?
Oh, because that's the flavor area that we
Okay.
had before. So this would be like enunciation and like actually describing things with a little bit of flavor, and then like any sort of clarifications of things. Mechanics is the column that I use just for, okay, what technically speaking in as few a word as possible does this do?
I say just get rid of the description column. Because when it comes to description, I will just write that in on the document itself when I put it over. And in the meantime, it's kind of annoying to have to scroll over to see the mechanics.
It at one point in time was being used. It just isn't anymore.
Oh yeah, your thing can't see everything at once, because mine could see everything at once. So I was just like, eh.
I try to base things off of my monitor. I know I've got it zoomed in a bit, but accessibility kind of reasons.
Yeah. Because I mostly base it off of mine, because mine is just 100% native resolution 1920 by 1080. But yeah.
I've got 4K monitors, but they, I do have, whatever Windows function it is, Zoom or something, to make it,
Yeah, the Windows scaling.
Yeah. Frost Husky, if you want to design a shield with a built-in grappling hook, be our guest.
Be our guest.
That's kind of the, that's the whole point of this system, is we are giving you Lego blocks, build what you want.
Yep.
With ST approval.
With
ST
ST approval, yes.
Gotta have that asterisk.
True. But yeah, so with this, I can happily announce that I think this means that we have weapons, armor, and shields with actual rules and traits and all of that ready.
Hooray!
Now we need to build it out more, but the base system is actually filled out now.
Could you do me a favor then, Tal? Because
Yes.
weapons and armor are on one spreadsheet, right?
Yep.
Can we get a spreadsheet with shields just instead of having it in the materials? Just that way it's a little bit more clear.
I would appreciate that too.
Yeah, I can make a table real quick for that.
Neat.
Just a new tab on the weapon and armor traits. Their weapon and armor sheets is good, but
I was going to put it on the weapon and armor math one.
Nothings has purchased
Yeah,
20
just because I can look at it and go, yeah,
Oh!
this is how this works.
oh, I wasn't feeding through. Ido, Thank you so much for that purchase. Thank you so much for the support. I really, really appreciate it. But as far as shields go, this definitely is a step in the right direction. I still have concerns about their defensive scaling capability.
Yeah, the scaling. Now the thing is that the scaling, the way that it works is kind of like it gets a big jump in when it hits tier 3 and beyond is when it starts getting like impactful. Tier 1 and 2 shields aren't really the best, but that's also kind of by design. Of tier 1 and 2 shit of anything is not really the best. It works, but
well, what I'm saying is outside of I'm glad that they have the cover, but it is still a matter of outside of getting more health, they have no purpose.
well, they get more trait points.
Or, well,
Which is...
yeah, but a lot of the traits, like we were saying...
Well, yeah, but like even just picking up more traits to have more durability on them and make them less bulky and make it so that way it's harder to grab you and stuff like that. It not even taking into account the fact that you could upgrade your shield's fortifying and deflecting stats utilizing the armor traits. I mean, it's not like... It is not an extreme amount of upgradability, but it does have, like, an amount of actual scaling.
We'll have to see how it goes. Worst case scenario, we can always create more things to add onto that list. Or create a shield-specific list.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
coming up with some shield-specific traits would be helpful. Coming up with some of those would make it feel much better to have them.
Yeah. But for example, like let's say you pay the cost for, like, you know, armor traits of making it so that way your shield has durable and quality on it, which is, like, you know, expensive, but you can do that like pretty easily. When I say easily, I mean like it's accessible and it is like ridiculous to try and get to it. That would take like a tier 3 medium shield from having 24 durability to having 36.
Well, yeah, but the durability is barely used. It's only a factor if they're actually using dodge or brace.
Yeah, but it also, because you got to remember, one of the big parts about this, that is one of the reasons we went with this in particular, is that the shield's stats do matter defensively, because it's either, one, they slowly chunk through it, have a way to get around it, or they focus their attacks on trying to destroy the shield with sunder attempts. And every single, like, sunder attack that the opponent makes against your shield is an attack that is busy being used on your shield and not you or any of your teammates. Especially if you grab, because basically every single shield you're probably going to want sturdy on it, just to make it harder to sunder it. But the durability and defensive stats do matter, because the more durability and defensive stats it has, the longer it takes a given opponent to break it.
Well, like in the case of sure, we've got a reason for them to do so with medium and heavy. But a light shield? What's the point in breaking it?
I mean, if we want to give it, like, any benefit, like, just to make sure they all have a benefit, we could always go with our original idea of having light shields have a bonus to parry. So it could have, like, -1 difficulty on parrying. Because it counts as a weapon, so you can use it to parry.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I think one of the shield traits might be something we might want to consider actually adding to the stack with one of the traits. It wouldn't be a default thing, but...
I don't want shields on the stack, to be honest. Because I do want to point something out. We already have defense layering, as in someone could, because we are going to be kind of like reworking some things with natural defenses now that we have actual, like, you know, proper like armor built out stuff instead of it just being a brick of stats. You can wear armor and have natural defenses at the same time, and it layers. So if you really want to build your character defensively, the opponent has to get through your armor, then your natural defenses, and then you. Which... if we had shields on top of that...
No, you're right on that. Maybe some shield-specific traits could be a setup where when you use the... Like when you have the shield, it increases negation for armor that you're also wearing.
Maybe, yeah. I could live with that, but oof.
What does that do specifically again? Sorry, brain.
Negation is
your
basically armor integrity.
Well, I know that part, but what were you saying light shields could do possibly instead?
Oh, no, I was saying a trait for shields in general where you can get a trait on them that just allows you to increase the negation on your armor.
Gotcha. Sorry.
That, and also with what we could do with the light shield is go back to our original thing and having it give minus difficulty to parry effectively.
Understood. Okay.
Because it is a weapon, so you can parry with it.
I'm going to get up and take my medicine. I think I'm starting to float a little. So I can still hear. Continue on.
That way light shields still have something.
Yeah, I like that.
But, yeah, no, shields going on the stack too, like, we already have a 3-layer stack.
How about a weapon trait that just adds to negation? Or would that be a stack issue too? Like 1 point of negation, period.
I don't think I want that on weapons. I think I want that to be a shield-specific trait.
If we do put it anywhere, it should be on shields.
That's what I meant on shields.
But yeah, I already suggested that.
Yeah, that was Zim's suggestion. Which, like, that I'm fine with. That's fine. It's just that I do not want shields durability or full negation stats being applied to a layer at all, because otherwise we're going to have to, like, blanket nerf things, because we can't make it so that way people are effectively invulnerable if they have armor and shields on.
I agree. I agree on that, but buffing armor, I think, would be a huge benefit for them.
Yeah, which armor is already being buffed with this, with the new, because last time I did armor, we didn't have as many offensive, the offensive capabilities in the system were a little bit less than they are now. So weapons scale at the same rate as moves now. Armor got buffed. Natural defense is going to get buffed. We're putting in accessories, which we're going to have to talk about next. So shields, minor benefit to armor, I'm fine with, so long as they are not providing their actual full stats as armor.
Yeah, I like this. I think for the sake of balance, I hate to say this, but I think every time you get hit, you'll probably reduce one durability from the shield, though. Just, it does not impact the actual damage. Okay. Anytime you actually take damage, it'll reduce the durability of the shield by 1. I think that's how we should work it, just so it's not just a they have to sacrifice turn kind of thing. Yay, nay.
I think it's fine as is. Because you don't always have your shield out front, and if your shield's badly damaged, you want to save it for a hit against a certain person. You might pull it back.
Fair enough. I just... Yeah, fair enough.
We can always, in terms of base capabilities, I think this is where shield should be in terms of base capabilities. If we want to provide additional things, it should be through things like feats.
Yeah, well, or traits, yeah. We'll
Or traits, yeah.
leave it as is, then.
Oh my goodness, phone. So does that mean we're actually done with shields? We got core items out of the way finally?
I think so, yes. I think we went over this, but I just was checking the to-do list again. We had this potential mind boost, possibly go over again, choose another number to count as successes, replacing lowest number on your success range.
Hold on, let me read that again.
I think we already went over it and decided to nix it, but I don't remember for sure.
I think we did. Do you remember, Tel?
Tal, are you there? Did him have been pulled away?
Yeah, probably. Well, in the meantime, what are your thoughts on what we've discussed about Shields for Haru?
honestly, it sounds fine by me.
Cool.
Yeah, sorry, sorry, I can't really go too much in depth and not. And I wasn't really trying to do the calculations in my head, but it sounds sound to me.
Well, also on the to-do list, we decided to do away with the armor having experience, so let's get
Yep,
rid of
it's got
that.
traits now.
Sorry about that. My family came in and was talking to me. What I missed?
On the to-do list, I've highlighted it. The potential mind boost change. I think we talked about it and decided to nix it, but it's still there for some reason, so wanted to go approach that again.
We did discuss it a while ago, and we kind of like tabled it, which is why it wasn't deleted.
Okay.
We weren't really we kind of decided against the whole thing with choosing another number to count as successes. But we did want to revisit Mind Boost to be reworked, so we didn't delete the whole thing.
We're considering other solutions. We just don't have those other solutions ready yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we probably should have deleted the second line, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then I will add discussion to this because that way I don't miss it. I still need to do the tables for XP and power cap on the document here.
on the plus side, that'll be pretty simple to do.
Yeah.
You don't even have to calculate anything yourself. What you could technically speaking do is just open up the sheet and just put in the numbers.
Yeah. It's just one that I haven't actually done yet. We did come up with some more positive conditions that I haven't added yet.
They should be in the notes.
They
We did
are.
that like a few months ago.
Yeah, they are.
It was inspired, guarded, and hasted.
Consuming a stack of Inspire lets your next attack ignore your target's positive scene and temporary stat changes. Hasted, consuming a stack of Hasted doubles the movement of your next movement action. Guarded, consumes a stack when an external source would impose a negative stat change and prevents that change. Okay, yeah, those are good. I'm just looking at stuff because, you know, we've got an hour left, so...
Well, don't worry. We still have to talk about accessories.
Oh, I didn't know you had that ready.
No. We need to talk about her design philosophy so that way I can make it.
Oh, fair enough. All right. Well then, floor is yours.
All right. So we have a couple options available to us in terms of our design philosophy. We could utilize our kind of design philosophy for armor. Have accessories be durability based, and then like they have the ability to like negate things. I don't know how we feel about stuff like that with it, where it's basically like, you know, a durability tax. Because if that's the case, then kind of doesn't feel the best for the condition user. But on the other hand, conditions are kind of all or nothing. And like I said previously, conditions are either strong or they are useless. So, in terms of our design philosophy, does anyone have any suggestions on where they think that accessory should go in terms of how they deal with conditions?
Are they accessories only going to focus on conditions?
Conditions and stat changes.
Specifically only those things?
Specifically those things. Basically, the things that armor does not cover is what accessories cover.
Could I propose use drain?
Elaborate.
Similar to wands or items in Pathfinder or other games which you have X amount of uses before it just goes dead. Instead of including durability, how about whenever it gets used, it just drains a use from it? So similar to durability, but different application.
So kind of similar to like wands.
Yep, or other like items, rods, staves, what other
charge
items are there? I know
system.
there's
Yeah, a
Yes.
charge system. Charge system could definitely work. Especially if we have it be that every level of intensity you negate is a charge. So that way, if someone has like a move that implies intensity 2, it takes up more of your accessories charges in order to negate that, as compared to normal. And if you get crit, it uses up more charges to negate the crit.
Thank you for the follow there, Ararak.
I guess another question.
negation or would it be a resistance?
Well, the thing is that for conditions, generally speaking, either they are applied or they are not.
True.
But there are 3 things that I could see accessories doing. One is obviously negating conditions, another is negating negative stat changes, and a third option that I've considered is adding dice to your soul saves to remove conditions that are on you.
See, my worry with negation is with them you could just carry, or if you have the right setup, you wouldn't have to worry about those ever again, really.
Yep.
Alternatively, we could treat them like you do like Cloaks of a Resistance, where instead it just ups your protected thing and then loses a charge.
The thing that stops conditions is insulated, and the things that stops stat changes is guarded. So we could have it sacrifice charges in order to provide you with those. So that way you have to actively utilize them instead of passively. You just have the benefit. That's an option.
It is. I'm just worried about because if you got an amulet that just negates all status effects, then if you have 5 uses of that, that's one character, especially if you're a stat-focused character, or your status affliction, whatever you or tribute affliction character, whichever way you are, would just shut you down completely for an entire battle. There's nothing you can do about it.
Which is why I said we're in a little bit of a tricky situation with it, because conditions are either useful or they're useless. They're either strong or they're useless.
Hence why my suggestion would be instead to, for instance, let's say you have one that's good against status afflictions. It's a tier 2, so let's say it adds 2 to your soul save versus status afflictions, and whenever something tries to affect that, you lose a charge, or what have you. That way there's still a chance it can get applied, it's just a lesser chance. And maybe it bonuses your cleanse as well versus those things. Because I don't want negate. Negate would just feel bad.
Yeah. We could always split up. You could have it focused one way or the other, or have it be balanced. The same way we did with armor, with physical and special. We could have it be, you could focus it towards conditions, you could focus it towards stat changes, or you could have it be balanced between the two of them as well.
It's always
But thinking about it, go ahead.
It's just a really difficult thing. Because Save or Suck is either really good or really bad. You don't have an in-between. You either succeed or you don't, and that's it. I think what we should do is maybe focus more on lessening effect, like accessories lessening the effects of various conditions, or buffing your soul save or your rolls to resist after you've been afflicted, things like that. I definitely am with Era. It should not just negate.
Yeah.
Vari
We
is
could
saying
make
that
a
he
different.
likes-
Go ahead.
Sorry. Vari is saying that he does like the boost to cleanse portion of the idea, though.
Yeah, which is why I brought that up in the first place. It's just because it's a. It doesn't negate it, but it lets you still. It makes it harder to keep you afflicted. We could make accessories of different versions, so that way you could pick a version that does the thing that you care about the most while leaving you weaker against the other things in comparison.
So what I am thinking for accessories first off is a setup where it's just like armor with traits, except that accessories don't necessarily have many stats themselves. They'll obviously have a durability for if somebody wants to specifically target it. But that would just go off of the material rules. But otherwise, it's more about picking the traits for the accessory. You know, do you want it to lessen the effects of blind? Do you want it to lessen the effects of blight, etc., etc.? That's the route that I think we should take with these. Obviously, yeah, the increase to soul save, the boost to cleanse, etc., those things, yeah. But otherwise, I think the traits should focus more on the various conditions. And they could do they could even boost things like protected. Like one, just to toss an example out there. Maybe if your protected stack procs, you not only negate the damage, but you also heal for, I don't know, a quarter of it or something. I don't know. I do kind of like the idea of a charge system, though, where they can only do the effect so many times before they either need to recharge or be repaired, whatever we decide on that.
Yeah. Because another trait that we could put on there is where it doesn't stop the secondary effects of like, you know, the damaging conditions, but any damage gets eaten from the like the accessories, like charges first. But that could be another useful thing it could do, where it doesn't negate things. It just it acts as a like, you know, eat this health pool first for the damaging part of conditions.
I like that idea. And yeah, I like that idea a lot.
Yeah. Now, this doesn't change the fact that, like, for a lot of, like, half of the conditions, they don't deal any damage and instead just cause, like, horrific negative effects. But
That's where the whole bonus to cleanse would come in, though, right?
yeah. That or being able to specialize it against a particular condition that does you dirty.
Like, and it would especially reward being prepared against things. Because,
Yeah.
You know you're going to fight Medusa. Well, you're probably going to want to grab some accessories that are going to protect you against. I guess restricted would be the equivalent there, but
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
the kind of thing I'm referring to, though.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, it'd probably be like Medusa would probably like hit you with a combination of extreme bullshit of restrained, sealed, and stunned.
But either way, if you know you're going to go face against her, you'd get stuff that is specialized to help you against that.
Yeah. Or, let's say you're a physical damage dealer. Obviously, you don't want to get burned because that increases your difficulty for dealing physical damage. And that is horrendous for you. So obviously, if you're a physical damage dealer, you don't want to get burned because that like takes you out of the fight until you can get that fixed.
If you already have really, really, really bad physical integrity, you probably don't want to be made brittle either.
Yeah. So for secondary effects, you have to aspect it effectively against the condition that you don't want to get hit by. And a separate thing that you can also upgrade that increases your cleanse checks or soul save or whatever. And then a third thing that eats the damage first if you get hit with a scene condition that does damage.
Well, what
Or
I'm
persistent condition that does damage.
what I'm proposing is that these are all just traits that you can choose for the accessory to have, or you
Yeah.
buy it with it, whatever the case.
I was talking about the primary stats that we would put on this, with like the traits that you could select.
Yeah. Probably give them their own. I would say that they would all come with their own relevant stats, and then those stats only become relevant or actually usable if it has the traits that use them. So, like with the blight, where it absorbs the damage for you, it would have a durability for that. If it's something where it helps you with cleanse, you use it. It's got so many charges based on the tier that you can use for that. I do not think accessories. Well, okay. Let's finish with that first. That sound good to you guys?
I'm fine with that.
Yep. Of course, it'll make more sense once it's in play.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about our design philosophy for this,
Yes.
so that way we can actually make it.
Yes.
Hello there,
understand
Ninga. We are currently working on our SCAR system, or Stories and Creatures in Alternate Realities. This is a tabletop RPG system for playing as Pokemon, Digimon, monsters from Monster Hunter, and a heck of a lot more. We're making a generalized system that you could technically run whatever you want with. kind of like, I mean, the open world aspect, that's entirely up to your storyteller, but it's an open franchise system is what I would probably call it.
It is not setting locked.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yes, the sandbox. Well, I would probably call it more a Lego box. Well, one of our things that we focus on is, you know, unlike D&D and such, where you just have set spells that, you know, Fireball does this, Lightning Bolt does that, etc., etc. We have a whole bunch of different traits, a whole bunch of different blocks that you can build together into whatever you want it to do. If I can get to the right page. There it is. Like, you can increase the accuracy of the effect. You can allow yourself to blink or teleport around the battlefield. You can increase the damage. You can have it do damage over time. Lifesteal. You can increase the range. Make it a cone or a sphere. But yeah, that's kind of the concept for this that we're developing. Oh, very nice, Ninga.
But yeah, no,
I think what we're discussing will be fine as a starting point.
yeah.
Of course, as I said, I like to touch things before I make full assumptions, but that's
Yeah.
probably been very apparent. So for now, I think that's a good starting point. As long as we're not locking into like a full negation situation, because man, that hurts.
Yeah, I wanted to stay away from that if possible. I was just more trying to discuss what the base...
Yep.
Yeah, the intent. Which is not just to, like, fully negate, but, like, you know...
Resistance is fine.
Yeah. Also, Ninga, hi, I am the math person. I do the math.
Yeah, yeah. Vane there takes care of the math and all that on our stuff, but this system is a dot-based D10 system, so it's based on rolling successes. So, you know, you have 10 dots of stat, so you roll 10 D10. 7 and above is a success. 10s explode, etc., etc. So things are calculated based on things are calculated based on the dice. We've been working on this system for over 2 years now, and we have 5, 6, 5.5 games currently being streamed on the channel, somewhere around there. Let's see, there's lots
and
of
others that are
channels.
being played elsewhere.
And others that are being played elsewhere, yeah. But we've got several games that are streamed live on the channel using the system as playtest campaigns. Been going really well. People are liking it, especially the move creation. We also have a very big emphasis on helping others with this.
Yeah, we have a big cooperation focus.
Yeah.
We sort of have like a cornerstone of 3 C's, which is customizability, cooperation, and I forgot what the other one was, but I had a third one in mind. Sorry, I'm still just running through what the whole accessory thing that we were talking about. I had 3 things, I swear.
Creativity?
That was probably it, yeah.
Because yeah, we also
customizable cooperation, creativity. Yep.
yeah we do reward players for being creative.
The creative solution system.
Yep. That was the one that I forgot because I was trying to think about multiple things at once. It's tough.
Fair.
I'm sure Pyro could help you out by installing implant.
I ain't trusting Pyro's ability to think. What are you talking about?
What about
Wow,
Edge
that was
then?
a swing.
Yes. Trust Edge. That has never gone wrong. Blindly trusting Edge has never gone wrong once, ever.
Ever.
I'll let you know about you, Ren, when I need to fail a roll.
Oh my god.
Love you, Ren.
Hi, Ren.
I would ask what my job is, but I'm just here.
Just to suffer.
No, I'm not here to suffer. Technically, I occasionally double check Tel's math. Sometimes I do my own math. I come up with ideas.
Yeah.
Also, sentient quote time.
I'm a third wheel. There we go.
I
Look at that
mean,
sentient quote.
having I personally always prefer to have a odd number of people whenever we're deciding something because
I know. I'm just taking shots at myself right now.
Yeah. There was an early on. There was like an unbelievable amount of stalemates that me and Zim had because it was mostly just us making actual decisions.
Fair.
yeah, and we would. Tal and I are both very stubborn.
Yes, they are.
Very much
Yeah.
so.
I got into the habit of whenever I said, "Hey, we can't do this. Here's why," and we did it anyway. I would immediately put it on one of my characters and try and explain my point that way.
It's worked a few times.
It has worked a couple times with that, yeah.
I'm the debate judge. Bad
Alright,
jokes aside.
updating your title in the credits.
Mow. What was I listed as before?
Oh,
you're,
just
you're
developer.
you're just a developer. You're now getting a tag called debate judge.
What have I done to myself?
I don't
I have now been listed as math dragon.
know.
And of course, Raharu there with his special category of Sekrorat.
Yeah.
These credits are going to be funny by the end.
They are.
It's too bad we can't make them scroll. Just show our names and then the list of titles we've accidentally earned. Like some sort of video game credit scene.
I have given Raijin the official title of Kissy Panda.
Nice. Human does raise a good point.
Is he a dear friend?
Well, Seda has stepped away from being a developer.
Ow, cat.
But, you know, I will add that. Dear friend.
No one can ever take Seda's true title away from him. Specialty's greatest hater.
Honestly, I was wanting to put that on, but I felt like he might get upset. But we're gonna
And then
put
I
it
make
in
the joke.
anyways.
Ah, okay.
You can ask permission. Nah, apologize.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a dear friend and Specialty's greatest hater.
Every time I'm about to get up, cat, I swear. Do you have a sixth sense about when I'm about to stand up?
Yes.
Yes, it's a cat.
Mike, there's been quite a few. There's been so many times that I can't count that my cat has just been waiting at the door for me to open it just to immediately bolt into the room.
Well, he was asleep underneath the curtains 2 seconds ago, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stand up here in a second, and then now he's in my lap, and I'm like, okay. He does this to me all the time. He always waits until I'm about to stand up, I swear. I wonder if I have some sort of body language that says I'm going to stand up, and he's like, oh, this is time for me. This is my time. Yeah, purr at me all you want, cat.
There we go. I realized I never added Ren to the credits. I have added him.
Is Red the proof of failure?
I put bad luck charm.
Ah.
Oh my god.
Oh, also, Renamon cannot be cute.
Oh wait, no, that one we have to put.
We should put that in the special thanks section.
We have to put that in quotes to show that that's something he said.
Ah, true. Ren, you gotta remember caps in there as well as numbers.
I got a free password last night from someone, so that's nice. Here's the password that I got last night.
That's a decent one. That one actually
I got a pretty
symbols.
good password. Yeah.
It's just missing a number.
It just doesn't have a number in it, but it's a pretty decent password.
I'll just throw a 1 at the end of it. That's what everybody does.
True.
Alright, so back to accessories.
Accessories, yeah.
I would say the best place to start would be coming up with traits for them and how they would interact. We've got a good idea of what we want them to be able to do, and then we can come up with the actual stats that the accessories would have. And assign
work backwards.
I think that would be the best way to go.
All right. Do we want to have like specialized versions of it that they're able to pick, like how with armor you're able to like specialize towards physical or special, like as a base thing?
Well, considering
or
they're
do we want it to be blank?
Well, they're kind of the sole solution.
Yes.
There's not... Soul isn't divided between physical and special.
Yeah, but what I was saying is for like, or like you could specialize it towards conditions at the expense of stat changes. You could specialize it to do this, that. Unless we want it to just be like completely blank, build your own, you have points based off of tier.
I think that's the way we should do that. I'm not sure exactly what you're suggesting on this.
Well, what I was thinking about doing is basically making like different, because we've identified the kinds of things that we want it to do that we find acceptable, that doesn't just like ruin condition play. And so what I was thinking about doing is having it so that way it has some base stats, and then there's different versions where like the base stats are allocated differently, and then you can upgrade them from there.
Oh, so you're talking about like with the charges and the durability and such.
Yeah, where you could specialize it one way or another.
I feel like it's not exactly a bad idea, but I feel like it's going to be kind of pointless, because like well, I mean, I guess they could just,
because I am gonna have to make like, for at least for actual rules, 6 tiers of these things.
I think it would be better to just keep them as the tiers and traits and just one standard across the board for them.
Okay, so just have it be there's, for accessories. Okay, here's an interesting thing. Are people limited to one accessory?
No.
Or can they have on like 2 or 3?
I definitely don't want them to be limited to one. As for how many, that is a very good question.
Because we could always do the classic of 3 for 2, the equivalent of 2 rings and an amulet.
3 might work as a good baseline.
I like 3.
It stays in line with the rest of the system.
It is going to be listed as like 2 rings and an amulet, but effectively it's 2 rings and an amulet.
Pretty much.
So if I balance it around 3 of the damn things, with all of that, I think I definitely have enough to like work off of, and I can have this ready in 2 weeks' time, so that way we can discuss it with the on the 3rd week and
Hopefully get it in.
Hopefully get it in. If I need to, hopefully, if we do end up having to revise some things on the 3rd meeting because we don't like how some things are shaking out, I should still be able to like have it fully updated by the time that it's time for the new update. But
yeah, that'll work.
Also,
go ahead.
Alright, well, I was just saying, given that's why I said it's not actually 2 rings and an amulet, but it's effectively 2 rings and an amulet.
They are objects of power. You can only handle so many.
That's what she said.
I was thinking the same thing.
No, that's what he said.
Well, look, I'm not going to make the joke. I can't make the joke. I have to stop now.
It's time to stop.
Yeah, before you get a fourth banana.
I was going to say I got two, but
Wait.
four would be
He
excessive.
just shut up
wouldn't it?
immediately.
I can't say anything. If I say the wrong thing, it'll end up as a quote. If I don't, or if I say the right thing, people are going to start quoting or using it against me.
Quote Ferreira's next banana. Flirt with me later, please.
Here, I thought two was enough, but y'all just that thirsty, huh?
Alright, so anything else for us to discuss? I know for the next update, I am planning to basically remove the existing tables and just link to the other documents for now for the armor and weapons and such. Because that's a lot of stuff for me to get moved over to the main dock, and I don't have the time to do that before the next update.
That's understandable. There are some feats that aren't in the Excel document, nor in the book. That might be in the notes that we should probably get in there because they were talked about.
I will get those. Yeah, they're in the notes. I will get those in for the next update.
Yeah, as long as they're in the Excel document at least.
Yeah, because we do. Yeah, go ahead.
When it comes to feats, I'm putting them directly into the table now, or into the book.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it because we've had like a lot of feats in there for a while, and we just haven't put them in.
I'm so tired of dealing with tables. But I will get them in.
Think fastido things, because Jimond _ is smooching you.
But shall we call this closed on this session?
Given mentioned two people that aren't in the playtesters yet.
Already
But
added
then,
them.
yes. Okay.
Azure and GibGab.
The Pink Wonder. Or the Pink Wonder. Master of Ships. Maybe a ship rot.
I'm gonna say ship wrong.
There's ship right and there's ship rot.
I put on the titles for GibGab. Elevators are your friends. Flightless bird. He played a bird and decided not to pick up the, flying feat.
Which is very funny.
And meanwhile, my character that can hover picked it up to start. But alright, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up here. Thank you everybody for joining us so far on the stream today. That was DevTales for our SCAR system. Check out our website, zgfgaming.com. We've got links for our Discord, Telegram, Mastodon, Blue Sky, Patreon, and more. They're on the website as well as down in the description below through our link tree. Thank you to my patrons, tippers, and subscribers. It is your support that keeps this channel alive and going. I cannot do this without your guys' help and your support, so thank you. Consider becoming a patron over at patreon.com/zgfgaming. It's one of the best ways to support the channel, though you can also do so by sharing the stream around, picking up packs of cards to stream loots, using our Humble Bundle partner link, or picking up some merch over at zgfgaming.store. But for now, thank you so very much for joining, everyone, and I bid you the most fondest adieu.
Later, one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.